Hello, here I am back again. So I started the live again because I was trying out a new microphone and it didn't work for some reason. I will test it out again at some point. So I'm just starting the class again. So welcome. Here we are every Monday at 7. It's so nice to see people joining. And it's lovely to have you here. So thank you for joining. And every week we share a different topic. We talk about a different thing related to the mind, related to emotions, related to NLP, related to all these wonderful things. And this can be a balance of NLP. Sometimes I include numerology. And great, you can hear me now. Wonderful. Thanks for letting me know. So NLP, numerology, embodiment practices, creative processes, all these wonderful things that I mix together and I put together and I call Creating Change. And this is what these classes are. So today I wanted to talk about something that's very simple and something that's very powerful. And often this is something I often mention, that it's the simple things that are the most powerful. And these are the things that we often overlook. Then we think, oh yeah, I know that already. Thing is though, do we practice it? Do we pay attention to this? Because if we did, then we would be creating those changes in our life. And if we're feeling stuck, or if we feel that there's something that we're struggling to move through, perhaps these can help. So in NLP, we focus a lot about mind, the unconscious mind, mindset. And what I want to talk about today is something that is related, and we do talk about in NLP, though is something that is not necessarily directly focused on the mind. This is what we're, so first of all, those are people who have been to my workshops, or whether that's online or in person, would have heard me talk about the mind-body wheel. This is the NLP communication model that I put together, and my version of it. And it talks about the mind-body connection, how our physiology has a direct impact on our emotional state and our mindset. And our mindset and our emotional state has a direct impact on our physiology. So everything's connected. And today I want to talk about physiology, because this is a part that is discussed in NLP. We learn this on the trainings, all about body language and posture and breathing. Though this is something that often is overlooked, and it's something so simple, and just making a few little tweaks here and there can really make the biggest difference. So, for example, if I'm hunched over, if my shoulders are hunched over and I roll them forwards and I put my head down and I shrink everything up, how do you think I'm going to feel? Like, try it now, try it yourself. If you're in a position to do so, like, just try it. Like, what happens if you bring everything together, hunch everything over, bend your head down, like make everything small? How does that feel? What happens? And then notice the difference when you start to open that up. So if you do the opposite, you roll your shoulders back, open up your chest, lift your head up slightly. How does that create an impact in terms of how you feel? Like, what changes do you notice? I'd love to hear in the comment section, like, what changes do you notice between those two examples? This is a really simple example that I'm offering here, but this gives us an indication of how powerful body posture is. So how we hold ourselves, what are we doing? Are we opening up? Are we closing in? This can be really interesting to pay attention to when we're in different situations and different environments with different people. What's happening within the body? Are we closing up? Are we opening up? Like, what's happening? And how does that impact our emotional well-being and our mental well-being as well? So just pay attention to this, like what's happening with your body, and how the positions that you put your body in really creates an impact. Because often when we're opening everything up in terms of like lifting up our chest, rolling back our shoulders, lifting up our head slightly, we're able to breathe a lot better compared to if we're hunched over. So therefore more oxygen to the brain. Therefore we can think more clearly and respond more effectively in life. And everything opens up, and it's almost like we're creating space. We're creating space. And with that space, it's like, yeah, from this place, I can see more options. From this place, I actually feel more resourceful. From this place, things don't feel as bad compared to when everything's hunched over and made small. So just pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. Like, how are you holding your body? Like, how are you sitting? Like, at the moment, if you're sitting or standing or lying down, just notice what you're doing with your body. Like, what body posture are you holding? Are you closing your body? Are you opening your body? Are you in a relaxed position? Are you tense? Are you feeling anxious about something? Like, what's going on within your body? And how are you holding your body? So, of course, there's many different levels to this, and you could go into much, much more depth in terms of going really deep into the somatics and embodiment. Just to keep it simple, I'm just talking about the basic body posture positions. Like, are we open? Are we closed? What's happening? And how that creates an impact. So when you go into an environment or a situation, like, for example, an interview, or you're going on a date, or you have a business meeting, or you're going to see a client, or you're meeting up with someone, that's an important conversation, how are you holding yourselves in that situation and also before? Like, what are you doing just before? This is the thing. Like, if you go on the metro, or if you go on the tube, if you're in London, if you go on the train, wherever you are, notice what people are doing. Majority of the people are hunched over looking at their phones. So they're in some online reality, completely missing real life that's going by them. And they're in a position, their body posture is in a position of being hunched over and keeping everything small. So no wonder many people struggle with confidence and are feeling low self-esteem, low self-worth, because they've put themselves in a body posture that signals to the brain, I'm not confident. And that just creates that emotional state of not feeling completely uplifted and energized. So if we want the opposite, if we want to create the opposite, it'd be much better to sit upright, pull back the shoulders. And if you want to look at your phone, look at your phone a bit more upright compared to hunching over. So that can be useful. And really noticing the breath, like, how are you breathing? Are you breathing in and out, like just from the upper part of the chest? Or are you giving yourself full belly breaths? Are you coming all the way down to the belly? So when you breathe in and out, are you allowing that air to go all the way down and allow your belly to move in and out? Or are you breathing from up here, like that shallow breath? Because that will make a difference as well. Like, the deeper and slower the breath, the more relaxed you'll feel, the more grounded you'll feel. This is one of the key things when I work with clients with anxiety. Like, we talk about breath because this is so important. Coming back to the breath and really slowing that down and really creating that sense of groundedness and centeredness, and really like noticing that belly breath, like really bringing everything down. So when they pull back their shoulders, they sit upright and they bring the breath back there. They're in a much more resourceful place to then learn everything they need to learn and make the changes that they need to change. I remember once having a session with a client, and every time this client would come in for sessions, that they would sit in the chair and like flop there and just be their body posture was like the most relaxed it could possibly be, but it was to the scale of like almost like falling off the chair. And that was not helping, because if we wanted to create change, I needed this client to be upright. I needed them to be alert. I needed them to really pay attention and for us to work together. So I got them to sit upright, made sure that they were sitting upright in every session that we had. It's like, okay, sit upright, shoulders back, take a deep breath in and out, and really come back to the belly. And from there, we would start the sessions. So if any coaches here watching online, sometimes there are students and graduates watching online, any coaches watching online, make sure that your clients are in a resourceful body posture for the session when you start, rather than allowing them to like almost like fall asleep or have everything crossed. Like that can be an interesting thing to pick up on, because if everything's hunched over or arms folded like this, sometimes that can indicate that they're feeling a little bit uncomfortable, and there are things that you can do to welcome them and help them feel a little bit more comfortable in the session. So that's what I wanted to share, is just talking about that and just noticing in everyday situations, like, how are you holding yourself? How are you breathing? What body postures do you find useful? This is something that there are many studies that have been based on this. Amy Cuddy has done a lot of studies based on power poses, and that's interesting. There's a couple of TED Talks about that. There are many, many other studies about this, about the physiology and mental and emotional well-being. If you want to go into things in more depth, you can find that online. Though I just starting out in your day-to-day life, like just exploring that, and also like paying attention to like what's the natural human reaction, like when you watch the Olympics and people run a race, and they, like, no matter what country they're from, no matter what language they speak, what's the first thing that they do when they've won the race? Like the natural human body posture, most of the time it's arms up in the air, head slightly tilted upwards, and they're celebrating. No matter what country they're from, no matter what language they speak, whatever, like that's the natural human reaction, to celebrate. So why don't we use body posture? Why don't we use these poses, like what we call power poses? Why don't we use these for our advantage in times where we're feeling a little bit low, or a little bit like lacking in confidence, or a little bit anxious, or like we can move our body, adjust our body, not to escape feelings. That's an important thing to pay attention to, though, just to notice that we have choice. We have choice, and we can choose different ways to put ourselves in order to create the best outcome and the best experience. So we can acknowledge, like, for example, if we're feeling down and we're feeling low, we can acknowledge that. It's like, oh, okay, like where is that emotion? What's happening? Is there a message there? Like, what could be behind this? And there's a choice. Perhaps I can sit upright. Perhaps I can take a few deep breaths down to the belly, and then notice what changes. So if anyone has any questions, pop them in the comment section. I love these to be interactive classes. If you have any questions about this, I love to know, like, what do you notice between the difference between like hunching your shoulders and closing everything inwards compared to opening everything up? What differences do you notice? Like, how do they feel different? What do you notice? I'd love to know. And yeah, this can be something that you just try out, and just really coming back to the body. This is the thing. Most of society are completely disconnected from the body. We're just all walking heads, living up in the head, and living in some alternate online world. And coming back to the breath, coming back to the body, coming back to the present moment, coming back to real life, can be so beneficial. So you recognize this most of the time after working. Why is this so? So what do you recognize? Are you talking about like hunching over, or what are you recognizing? I'd love to know. Yeah. Yeah, so hunching over. Yeah, so often like the body can tell us a lot. So what do you think your body's communicating to you? Like what message do you think it's giving to you with that? So if it's hunching over, if it's closing, if it's tensing up, what message is that giving you? Like what message is your body giving you? You can explore that. For every person's different, though the vast majority of people, if there's some closing and tension, then that I have to give attention to my free time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that's one message, a beautiful message, that if there's tension being created, then there's something that's creating like an unease. There's an unease. So maybe there's something about work that feels a little bit uneasy. Maybe there's a bit too much stress or pressure. And then, as you said, that give attention to your free time, like making sure that you have time to have a break, that you stretch, that you breathe deeply, you open up your body posture, you get outdoors in nature if you can, like make a few little adjustments and changes that can make all the difference as you navigate work. Stress in the family, yeah, okay, that's the big one. And families can be the biggest teachers. So yeah, just notice like when you're with your family, when you're not with your family, what is your body doing? Like what body postures are you using, are you adopting? And what body postures help you to feel calm and grounded? So for that, like obviously majority of the time we want to open up and make sure that we're not hunched over, though perhaps some kind of soothing holding pose, if we're feeling stress in the family or things can be very triggering, they can be helpful. So one really useful one is simply just holding our arms, like not in like a really crossed arm position as if we're like angry about something. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just like talking about like just gently holding like your elbows, just gently holding that and having that as a resting position, and just breathing deeply as you do that. And you can just gently caress your arm or caress your shoulder, or just gently give yourself a massage. This is something really simple that you can do without people really noticing. And this is a really beautiful somatic practice just to really ground into the body and to find some comfort. It's almost like we're saying to our body, it's okay. We're saying to our inner child, it's okay. We're saying to ourselves, it's okay. I'm here. I've got you. I'm holding you. And that can help. So there's many different ways that we can work with the body, and just paying attention. The first step is awareness. Just being aware and really getting curious and just observing in different situations, observing what feels good, what doesn't feel good, just observing little things that can feel really useful. So I'll leave it there if there are no more questions. So this is just a quick little class today, just to really talk about body posture and breath, and just really remember that, yes, we have the mind, we have this incredible tool, we have the emotions. The emotions can be incredible messengers, and we have the body, and just making a few little adjustments to that, to how we're sitting, how we're standing, can be so beneficial. And if we want more confidence, how would someone who's confident, how would they stand? If we want to feel more grounded, how would someone who's grounded, how would they stand? Or how would they sit? Or how would they breathe? If we want to feel more calm, How would someone who's calm, how would they sit? How would they breathe? How would they stand? And start modeling that, start adapting to that, creating that. It's all about choice. I remember I was on a training last autumn and the teacher was talking about moving from habit to choice. And this is the thing, like this is where when we're noticing, when that awareness is there and we're noticing this habit or we're noticing this pattern, we have this moment where there's choice. Something opens up and we have a choice to create a change if we choose. We can keep doing the same thing out of comfort, like feeling comfortable, or we can choose to move through a slight moment of discomfort sometimes, to move through that, and then on the other side are incredible, even more expansive experiences. Often, most human beings, we're just choosing short-term comfort every day or short-term pleasure every day. And we're not paying attention to the long-term effects. Whereas if we just move through that initial discomfort of doing something new, trying something new, then we open up to so many other experiences and everything opens up for us, everything expands. So it's moving into that, realizing there is a choice. So how do you choose to breathe? How do you choose to stand? How do you choose to sit? How do you choose to hold yourself? Like, what do you choose to do with your arms, with your shoulders? What do you choose? What feels good? What feels expansive? What feels nourishing? These are all great questions to ask. So if there are no more questions, I will end this talk. Those of you who are in the area, there is a class coming up this Friday in Vila Nova e Geltrú. I have a dance class, and this is a great place to work with the body. And this is a wonderful experience. And this Friday, we'll be talking all about how our body can work with numerology. So numerology is one of the things I do alongside NLP, and one of the things I love doing with the numerology is exploring it through dance, exploring it through the body. And I haven't seen many people do this. And the people who came to the last class absolutely loved it, and they found it so beneficial. And it was really interesting what came up. And there's another class this Friday. So if you're in the area, you're more than welcome to join. It's €10 when you reserve in advance, or if you bring a friend, then it's €10 each. And it's an hour and a half of dancing, and there'll be some guidance there. And we'll be exploring how each of the numbers move in a different way. They have a different dance, they have a different rhythm, they have a different message. And if you're not familiar with numerology, this can be a great introduction as well. This is a wonderful introduction to this. Or if you simply just love dancing and want to connect with the body, then this is a great opportunity as well. So that's this Friday. And I'll be back on Monday with another class. So thank you so much for joining, for being here, for the questions. As always, I'll be back again next Monday at 7 in the evening, Central European time. And if you have any questions during the week, then please do message me on social media, on whether that's on Instagram, whether that's here. I love to hear your requests and your queries. If they're about particular topics you want me to talk about, then please do ask away. I love to make this interactive, and I wish you a wonderful week. May this be a wonderful week of exploring the messages of your body and how just shifting a few little things can create all the changes. Sending much love.